I've seen a lot of games, and I have a feeling this one is going to be special.
This might just be the greatest week in DSFL history. Skip to about 2.5 minutes in the extended video highlights to know exactly what I'm talking about. What was an incredible week of games. This one was over before it even began. The rookie Jamal Lewis scores 2 touchdowns for the Ravens, and then another rookie goes deep for Baltimore. That is Travis Taylor, the product out of Florida. Since he scores some garbage touchdowns, and our final from Baltimore is 31-25. Tampa Bay comes into Week 5 winners of 2 straight. Meanwhile, Philadelphia is off a bye and 1-2 this year. Jake Elliott is the last remaining perfect kicker in the league as he hits another 3. The problem is the Eagles were kicking field goals while the Bucs were scoring touchdowns. Scotty Miller from 55, and then Ronald Jones, who had a great game last week in the Buc win over Washington. He was great yet again in this Tampa Bay victory. Brady throws his 3rd touchdown of the game to the aforementioned Ronald Jones, and a Buccaneer victory by the final of 20-9. 304 yards for the visiting Bucs. The loser of this game is in big trouble out of the AFC. 1-3 Cleveland, 1-3 Buffalo, and the Bills got on them early with fullback Jamie Mueller has been a big touchdown threat this year, his 3rd in 2 games. Gerald McNeil loses another fumble for Cleveland. John Hagee scoops and scores, and to wrap up the Buffalo rout, Chris Hale gets into the touchdown act with another score. 33-6 Buffalo. Speaking of trouble, the Raiders got out of it momentarily with their win at Houston last week, and they're back on the road to battle the 2-2 Giants. Phil McConkey here in the 3rd quarter coughs up a fumble, picked up by Reggie Phillips for a 35-yard return touchdown. And to close the game, the Raider defense delivers the 4th down stop. Jack Tatum breaks up that pass from Phil Simms. 2 ugly road wins for the Raiders, this one by a field goal. Detroit has had an ugly quarterback situation this year. Eric Kramer was benched 2 weeks ago, and Rodney Peete hasn't been much better. He throws a pick 6 here to Hall of Famer Jack Lambert, and the Steelers would tack on the scoring with this touchdown to John Stallworth. The Lions are the last winless team of the greatest team season, falling short 17-6 to the first-place Steelers in the AFC North. And from the Dome, this begins a ridiculous week of highlights of the greatest team season. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league this year meet from St. Louis. Warner, who now has a league-high 14 touchdown passes this year, throws a trio against this hapless Vikings defense, a defense which have been playing well in the first couple of games of the year. Carter dives in for the score, but then the rookie comes back with a big play of his own, Torrey Holtz. The Rams would score a few plays later and lead at the half by 2 touchdowns. Minnesota would trim that lead in half with a Robert Smith score, capping a long 3.5-minute long drive. But then Warner makes a big mistake with a chance to give him a huge lead. Fuller picks him off in the end zone. Just the 2nd interception thrown this year from Kurt Warner. Late in the 4th quarter, 2 drives later, Cunningham needs a miracle with under 2 minutes to go. 3rd down conversion to Leroy Horde, a 3rd and longer conversion to the leaping Greg DeLong. The Vikings are in the red zone, but running out of time off a great grab from DeLong. Hatchett makes the grab with 9 seconds left. Vikings have 1 play left barring a penalty. 1 second to go. Cunningham to the end zone and finds the tight end for his first touchdown of the year. And in this incredible comeback, we're going to overtime. First Minnesota drive of OT ends in a disaster. Wistrom the sack. Robert Holcomb in for the fatigued Marshall Faulk runs amid the field goal range, needing only 3 to win the game. Warner 3 plays later, he's going for 7, folks, not for 3. And Ricky Prohl, who was the hero of the '99 NFC Championship game, makes the grab to walk it off. St. Louis improves to 4-1 with a miraculous win in overtime, 27-21. From Arrowhead, we had another incredible quarterback battle between Hall of Famers Troy Aikman and Patrick Mahomes, just outside of the 1,000-yard mark in passing through a quarter of the year. Travis Kelce gets involved in the highlight reel with this dazzling touchdown catch as he shoots out James Washington for the score. We pick things up in the 4th quarter with Dallas down 7. Aikman finds Alfredo Roberts to tie the game with 1.5 minutes to go. Kansas City could take the lead for good with a touchdown to this drive. Instead, they have a quick 3 and out. Cowboys get the ball back with a chance to win the game in regulation. Michael Irvin puts them into Chiefs territory, and now the Cowboys open the playbook, but Richards loses the ball. Thornhill brings it back 58 yards for a score. Now the instant replay, he was an inch away from being down by contact, knocked away by Ragland, and the Chiefs have the lead. Cowboys need a miracle with under 30 seconds left, and they get it as the Chiefs blow the coverage, 73 yards for Harper for a touchdown, and we're going to overtime. First Kansas City possession of OT, Mahomes delivers a strike on 3rd and 10 to Williams, another first down to Williams, and then a third to LaShawn McCoy. And on just the 5th play of the drive, LaShawn McCoy, the backup running back, goes 33 yards for the game-winning overtime score. Kansas City made some big mistakes in the second half, but McCoy runs them into the win column with a miraculous victory in overtime. 30-24 Chiefs, despite a legendary day from Michael Irvin. The 1991 Super Bowl champion Redskins have looked like a shell themselves through the first 5 games of the year. Newton and the Panthers carve up that Washington defense en route to a blowout home win against the Redskins. Final score here from Charlotte is 28-7. Carolina visits Tampa next week. On paper, this was a mismatch, but we had an incredible game from Candlestick between the Falcons and the 49ers. Montana was on his A game early, as was Jerry Rice. Wilson for a 14-7 lead, then Rice, who went for nearly 200 yards in the ball game, burns the Falcons defense again. 21-7 of the fourth quarter. Great tight end out of Kent State, O.J. Santiago for 42 and a score. San Francisco, running to ice it, is just short of the first down. That's Roger Craig. So they settle for the field goal to try and win it. And Mike Colfer hooks it to the right. Win up the Falcons of 98, taking advantage of a missed field goal from their opponent late in the game. Mathis takes advantage right away with a 65-yard catch and run, and then a big dance in the end zone as we are headed to overtime, tied at 21. First Atlanta possession of OT did not end well, 3 and out. Montana driving to win the game. Instead, he's picked off by Buchanan. Atlanta gets another crack at it. And on 3rd and 13, Chris Chandler's picked off by Don Griffin. So certainly the Niners wouldn't turn it over again, would they? That's wrong. Bradford picks off Montana and drives them all the way inside the red zone. Atlanta's Morton Anderson, a chip shot for the win. And this kick is no good. Are you serious? Morton Anderson hooks it to the right. So now San Francisco gets a third opportunity, and this time they would take advantage. A couple of first down pickups, and then Mike Colfer from long range drills the field goal to win it for San Francisco. The 49ers needed every bit of magic in this one to knock out the one-win Atlanta Falcons. Montana goes for 352 and 3 scores, and Rice a $182 in the win. 2011 Texans and the 2008 Cardinals. Pro Bowl safety Adrian Wilson gets involved in the first play of the game. Picks off Matt Schaub here and brings it back 36 yards for an Arizona touchdown. But then the Texans leaned on their Pro Bowler themselves, tailback Arian Foster. Dazzling run to tie the game for Houston. Then down 17-14 late in the half. Schaub gets airborne and finds Jacoby Jones for 61 yards on the score, the wideout from Lane College. Arian Foster went for nearly 200 yards on the road and gives the Texans a 29-23 lead. Warner throws incomplete on 3rd down, then Wisenhunt decides to punt, and Houston does not relinquish the ball back to Arizona. Tate for the win. Houston runs for 222 yards on the road and wins it by 6 behind 181 yards out of Arian Foster. The Seattle Seahawks were the greatest defense in the NFL in their Super Bowl season of 2013, led by that man, Richard Sherman, the product from Stanford. His defense was sensational throughout against Brunell and the Jaguars. Cam Chancellor, his teammate, picks off the quarterback in the end zone, and Russell Wilson would find some late half magic with a 69-yard touchdown to Sidney Rice. Nice. And in the second half, Russell Wilson ices the game with this score to Doug Baldwin. Jacksonville falls to 3-2, no shame in that. They're still first in the AFC South. Meanwhile, the NFC West, we have the toughest division of football. 3 teams are all 4-1, led in a tiebreaker by the Niners. Stephen Gostkowski, the Patriots, missed the late field goal against Atlanta. Otherwise, New England would come into this game a perfect 4-0. Dante Stallworth takes the lead for New England, but then Elway came out firing. A pair of touchdown passes to the struggling Pro Bowl receiver Ed McCaffrey, and then a third to the fullback Howard Griffith. But then Brady comes right back with a score of his own to Kyle Brady, no relation to Tom. His first touchdown of the year gives New England the late lead. Smith with the deep ball for Denver. Broncos are driving and could win the game on this possession. After a green catch, Denver uses its second timeout, but then runs the ball. They could have passed it in for the win. Instead, Davis sets up the overtime creating field goal from Elam. The league's best receiver, Randy Moss, with another big play in this one for New England's. And after a second first down pass from Tom to Kyle Brady, it's the Patriots in field goal range to win the game. Gostkowski, who missed it against Atlanta, drills it here for the Patriots against Denver, and New England improves the 4-1 with a big road win. Brady throws for the most yards in a single game this year, 412, and an overtime victory, 30-27. New England plays host to Tennessee next week. Meanwhile, Denver at San Diego is now out of first place in the AFC West. Brady's first in the league in passing yards. Meanwhile, the league's leading rusher was on the other side, Terrell Davis of the Broncos. This incredible week of highlights moves to Sunday night from Nashville. 06 Colts at the 99 Titans. Big hit on Lorenzo Neal, scooped up by McFarland, and 3 plays later, Manning capitalizes with a beauty to Marvin Harrison. Manning went from good in the first half to downright lucky in the second half. He loses the ball, picked up by his offensive lineman, Charlie Johnson, for a touchdown. That was the perfect position. Johnson, Johnny on the spot for the score. We're tied at 17 now late in the game, but then Manning throws a big mistake to Samari Roll for the interception. Titans are in position to win the game with a field goal, and Del Greco has the distance, but he missed it. A tough kick from Del Greco, and we're going to overtime. Colts won the toss and elect to receive. Manning, who had a tough regulation, comes out firing here in overtime. Harrison for the first down. Deep ball to the 2 to Dallas Clark. Vinatieri, he's got this right. Are you serious? He missed a gimme for the Colts, and now Tennessee's got a shot to answer. Toss to Rodney Thomas, and the backup is stopped short of the marker. Tennessee goes 3 and out. Manning gets another chance, and this time the Hall of Famer would not be denied. It's a 52-yard catch and run from Brandon Stokely, just as he did down the sideline against Cincy. In for 6, and the Colts win it in overtime. 23-17 Indy. The 1972 Dolphins, one of 2 teams still unbeaten in the greatest team season. Monday Night Football, Marlon Briscoe, the slot from Nebraska at Omaha, catches his 3rd touchdown of the year. We're tied at 7. Biggest play of the game is this 105-yard pick 6 from safety Jim Hudson on his first pick of the year, and the Jets have the lead at the half. Matt Snell, the struggling fullback, scores his first and second touchdowns of the year here in the second half. And then John Elliott ices the game. There's the big 4th down stop for the New York defensive end. 31-21, the Jets win their first game. Philbin with 3 sacks now has a league-high 5 this year. New York hopes to keep it going against Buffalo next week, but New England and Miami are tied for first in the AFC East. Let's check out the AFC as a whole. New England, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Miami are all 4-1 this year, and Carolina is the last unbeaten team in the greatest team season. Week 5 might just go down as the greatest week in the history of the DSFL. 5 of these games went to overtime. What a week it was in the greatest team season. Let's check out some of the great plays from week 5 of the greatest team season. One of the 5 overtime game winners was on Sunday night, where Stokely runs the Colts to 2-3 this year with a big win in Nashville. Meanwhile, New England's now 4-1 off the Gostkowski win in overtime. Kofor, who missed one to begin OT, splits the uprights to win it in OT over Atlanta. And then here's one of 2 big touchdowns to close out OT. First, Kansas City's LaShawn McCoy from 33 yards out. And then the guy who won the game at the NFC Championship in '99 against Tampa, Ricky Proehl, in for 6 for St. Louis. What a week it was in the greatest team season. Make sure to join us for the Extra Point Show coming up in just a few minutes right here with Charger 95. Week 5 is in the books. It was a breathtaking week of games of the greatest team season. The season determined the greatest team in NFL history.